Hello, folks. Welcome back. So, I'm going to be basically working on the Nikon today. This is the Panasonic Lumix S5 II, and I have the onboard LUT on here, the 2020. Right here is the R6 Mark II. Okay, and I have the 2020 LUT on here. It looks pretty good. I try to match this as close as possible to this one right here. So this is the camera I'm going to be working with, the ZF. Now, this is 40 millimeter. This is not the 50 millimeter like on the other two lenses. So I want to show you something. I'm going to go back to 0 on the slider. This is a 40 millimeter. If I go to the, let's say the R6 Mark II, to the 50 millimeter, there's a difference. So it's bigger. If I can get my mouse. And this. The difference is 10 millimeters, okay? 40 millimeter, 50 millimeter. So this is 40 millimeter. We go to the penny. I'm going to leave it like this because I look good this way. When I look at smaller, it looks like a square or a rectangle. I like this profile better, okay? So I'll leave it just alone. So now I'm just going to work on this. So why 40 millimeters? Well, I'm going to be talking about the Mikey adapter. It's an ETZ. It's for Sony lenses, APS-C, and full frame that will use the Sony glass, Sony E-mount, to the Z adapter. So E to Z. Got it? And it's a neat little thing for firmware updates. There's a little USB kit in there. I don't know if you can see it. I may be too close. Well, anyway, if I bring it back, you'll see it. Okay, so this is 40 millimeter Nikon. And for other lenses, like manual lenses, you can go into the settings, which I'll show you quickly, and you can put in the manual settings for, let's say, the lens you're going to install on there. So I'll show that real quick. Okay, so I believe you go to this part. Non-CPU lens, okay? And I have 3 of them in there. So number 3, I got kind of like the 40 millimeter f2.5. That's what I'm going to be putting on. So what you do is, if I can go to number 2, okay, I got the 24 millimeter. And then if I go to number 1, I got the 85 millimeter f1.8. All right. So this is to recognize the different lenses I'm going to use. So I'll press cancel. Well, I'll go back to movie. And there's a reason why I'm going to leave it like this. I'm going to leave it off for now, just to show you why. But I'm going to leave it in the menu right here, okay? Let me turn it off. All right. So, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to pause it. Right now you see the Nikon Z50. Or I said the 40. So the way I do it is I'm going to put on live demo mode. I'm going to create a text for it. And I'm going to put 40 millimeter, okay? Just for now. And I am going to put it, let me do this real quick, to right about there, okay? So you can see that, 40 millimeter, all right? Now, I'm going to change the lens to a Sony lens. But before I do that, let me get the 40 millimeter right here, okay? So this is a Sony 40 millimeter lens. It's a G lens, very compact. I like the compact lenses. And then here's the Mikey adapter. So one side is for the Sony. The other side is for the Z mount, okay? And I think I have to do it this way. Yep. Okay. So let me put on the lens on the adapter. And the way you do it is there's a red dot. And then you look for the white dot here to install it. And I take that back. It's this red dot on the outer part. With this, and it fits right on. And then you just twist it. Now all I have to do is with this red dot to match my setting on the camera. And then I just, put the thing on. And this is what I'm going to do. Okay. So I put the caps on. I put it down with the, so this is a Nikon 40 millimeter. I put the cap from the Mikey adapter, and then also with the Sony back of their lens with this cap. Okay. So this is a Sony lens. If you don't have money to get the Nikon and you have Sony lenses, buy adapter for, I think, 150 to 250. I can't remember how much. But that's cheaper than buying a brand new lens of the 50 millimeter. And there you have it. Cheaper way. It looks sharp. I'll increase it all the way. I'll move it a little bit like that. Doesn't look bad, right? So if I go to the other cameras, they look basically the same, okay? So now this is the R6 Mark II. I'll bring that up too also. Right about there. I'll just bring back a little bit. Okay. So that's the R6 Mark II. Yeah, I could bring it back a little bit more, just to match it. I'm going to go, I think 30. Yeah. So anyway, so there's the Nikon, okay? Next one. And I'm going to put on 16 millimeter. Now, these three lenses I'm going to put on are all full frame. So I did one. I'll have the 50 millimeter on last. And then I have a 24 millimeter. But I'm putting an APS-C lens on there first, just to show you something. And a lot of confusion is about that this is a 16 millimeter. To a full frame, it's 16 millimeters. But to an APS-C camera, it's 24. 1.5 times with the Sony is a 24. So I'm going to compare what this is to a full frame, 16 millimeters, to a full frame 24 millimeters is what the APS-C is seeing. And the nice thing about the ZF, it doesn't automatically go into crop mode. So I can show you that thing. And I'll show you how to fix it where when I put a 16 millimeter on there to get rid of the vignetting and stuff. So now I'm going to put from the 40 millimeter, I am now going to put the 16 millimeter. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it out of live demo mode so you can see it on full screen. You already see how I did the background, how I paused the program, and I can change letters or lenses. So I'm going to do that again. Okay, folks. Now I got the 16 millimeter. This is equivalent to a full frame. I can look on the LCD screen and I see vignetting. Okay, so can you. So if you look at the corners, it's kind of dark and brown. Now I can hide that a couple of ways. One is with this program, and I'll go back to live view again, live demo mode. All right, with this mouse cursor, I can move the slider, zoom and pan, where I can totally get rid of that. Okay, and it's still a little bit more, so I can do a little bit more that way. If I do it all the way, that's still small. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. Another way is where I can leave this at 0, okay, just to show you how small I am on the 16 millimeter. Now I'm going to go into the menu and turn on stabilization one at a time. One for the original IBIS, but you won't see a difference. You might see a little crop, but I doubt it. And then one when I put on the digital stabilization, where it crops, and then you'll see the vignetting disappear. So let's watch this. I go in the menu. Okay. Reduction. I'll put it on sport. Okay. Now, you didn't see any change, right? I'm still small. I haven't gotten any bigger, but now I'm going to put on the digital just to show you what happens. So I go to the electronic vibration reduction and turn it on. Whoop, wrong one. There we go. That's on now. Get out of the menu. Now look what happens. When I sit down, I'm a little bit bigger, but around the corners, you don't see it. So I can go to zoom pan and there we go. 16 millimeters, okay? So this is 16 millimeters to a full frame. So now I'm going to show you what happens when I put on a 24 millimeter. Okay, so this is a 24 millimeter, okay, full frame. And this is what the APS-C is showing. And if I move the slider all the way back, all right, so compared to, let's say, a 50 millimeter or even the 40 millimeter I had, it's small. But you notice you don't see any vignetting. And I still have the stabilization on. So the only time you saw it is when I turned off, when I turned on the digital or electronic vibration reduction is what Nikon calls it. Okay? So watch what happens when I turn that off with this lens, full frame. Okay. This, just turn it off. Okay. See any vignetting? I don't. Let me put it on full frame for you. Turn it off. You might see a little, okay? But you see? Yeah, you won't see it at all. I get it on 0. So this is the APS-C, and if you vlog, okay, on an APS-C or even a full frame, this is what you'll get. So I'm vlogging right now. Is this wide enough? Okay. Now, I'm going to show you why I'm doing this in the first place. Why it's okay to have an APS-C lens on the camera. So watch this. I'm going to turn back on the VR. Okay. 24 millimeters, all right. So there's a little crop, okay? Now, I am going to show you what happens when I turn it off, and I'm going to put the 16 millimeters back on, and on a full frame camera, how handy it is to do that. So, this is back down to 16 millimeters on the full frame, okay? Now, you could zoom it on this program, but it doesn't work with the camera because you see the vignetting. But just by turning on the electronic stabilizer, I'm going to remove the vignetting, and then I'm going to show you how I vlog with this lens. So I get back in the menu, just turn it on, turn it off. Okay. So stabilization is on, vignetting is gone. Okay. It's good on the camera. I have not done anything with the program. So if you're vlogging, look at this. You get a wider field of view than a 24 millimeter on a full frame camera, on this camera right here. Okay. So before with the 24 millimeter full frame, I was bigger in the picture. Now you get a wider field of view. And nice thing about the Sigma lens for Sony, it's an f1.4. Sharp. Now, let's match the other cameras. I'm going to take off the 16 millimeter and I'm going to put on the 50 millimeter f1.8. It's one more stop. Well, actually it's two, because on this one, I can go 1.4, 1.6, 1.8. All right. So this is a 1.8. It'll be two stops from 1.4. Okay. So now I have a 50 millimeter on here, and it's a Sony. Okay. And if I do a little work on here. So this is a Sony lens on a Nikon camera. Okay. With the MyKey ETZ adapter to save you money, that's all you need to do. So compare this 50 millimeter f1.8, not a 1.4, but a 1.8 with, let's say, this camera right here, the Panasonic. And like I said before, it's a strange camera. It's doing a white balance thing. So you can see me getting darker and darker and darker. Okay. And I turned down the sharpness. So that was inside the camera. But anyway, see? Now watch this. If I go over to the, then I get darker there. But then if I go over the yellow, I might get a little brighter, but it might be because of the light too. But you see, I'm looking better now. I look like a human. And now I'm going to go to the R6 Mark II. So this is 50 millimeter. The Panasonic's 50 millimeter. And now this is 50 millimeter. So compare this 50 millimeter with the Nikon one that I'm going to install right now. One more thing, folks. Okay. I had the electronic stabilization off. I forgot to turn it off. So now, there we go. Okay. Without moving. Now I can fit better in the screen. If I go here, I can do the same thing with this camera. Okay. So if you look at that compared to this, it's about the same. And this, I'm leaving it right here because it's working for me. Okay. But anyway, I forgot to turn off the stabilization. So I'm going to leave it right here. And I'm just going to change the lens from a Sony to the Nikon. And this is the 50 millimeter now, not the 40 millimeter that I started today. Okay, I'm back. This is the 50 millimeter f1.8 for the Nikon. And it's a little bit sharper. We're bringing back to 0. Okay. What do you think? So if you already have the lens for Sony and you don't want to spend money for this lens, just buy the adapter. It'll work with this camera. And then if I bring it up to right about here, I look pretty good. If I go to the R6 Mark II, which is a lower camera, but it has its native 50 millimeter lens on there. I'll do it like that. So you see, the colors almost match. So that was the Canon R6 II. This is the Nikon. This is the Panty Boy. This is a whole different story. Okay. I love the camera. I'm not too thrilled about the LUT thing going on because you're going to see it change colors and stuff, but it's sharp. And believe it or not, I turned down the sharpening all the way, but it's still sharp. And if I look at the lens, I think that those lenses are just a little bit bigger than a Nikon. On the Canon, I got the cheapest 50 millimeter f1.8. Okay. It's not the L series, but, you know, like the 1.2 or whatever. But still, it's a cheap $160 lens. And I love it. So you can get some cheap lenses from Sony and from Canon. On the APS-C, Sony is where you go because they have the most. There's third-party brands coming to Nikon. And I think Canon is coming around allowing a third-party autofocusing lenses to come with their camera stuff. But we'll see. So anyway, I'm going to finish it off here with the Nikon. Okay. And if you have any questions or comments, put it down in the comment section below. Please give me a like, subscribe, and I just want to thank you for watching. I hope this little tutorial is helpful for you. I'm just trying to save you a buck. But anyhow, um, just remember, stay safe, keep smiling, and until next time, I shall see you then. Goodbye, folks, and have a wonderful day. Just to show you the Mikey ETZ adapter. And I did update the firmware, okay? But I still had to put the lens stuff into the lens menu, manual lens correction menu, in the tool or the wrench on the Nikon camera in order to get it to work. The zoom lenses won't work. So I started with the 40 millimeter. I went with the 40 millimeter Sony, then the 24 millimeter Sony full frame, to the 16 millimeter Sigma, which is like a 24 millimeter equivalent to the APS-C for full frame. But when you have it on a full frame on this camera, it's 16 millimeters. And then, of course, I had the 50 millimeter from Sony, and now I have the 50 millimeter on Nikon. So, again, thank you for watching. I hope this was helpful, and I'll just say goodbye. I've talked too long. Bye, folks. Have a wonderful day.